You're too far away to throw something at. Well, I show to be 7 o'clock, so we'll get started. Welcome everyone to the Planning and Zoning meeting for June 28th, 2021. Appreciate everyone in attendance. Just as a reminder, if you would put your cell phones on silent or vibrate, please, and we'll get started. We'll start with the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting from May 24th. If you've had time to look through, if there's any questions, comments, or amendments, please let us know. And if not, I would request a motion for approval. And I got a second. Did you get that, Megan? Okay. Have roll call or all. Can we do all eyes on that, or we got to do a roll call, Cameron? Do a roll call vote, please.
Jeff Harrison.
Aye.
I think that was me. Aye.
Ben Oaks.
Aye.
Alexa Powell.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. And we look on our agenda here. We have no scheduled visitors or guests or unfinished business. So we'll move right on into the new business, which as everyone can see, well, first thing we'll start off is we have to have a new chairman in place. So I would look for a recommendation there for a chairperson.
I make a recommendation. Jeff.
Got a second? And roll call vote, please.
Jeff Harrison.
I guess I'll go aye.
Aye.
Ben Oaks.
Aye.
Alexa Powell.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now, it's not listed, but we do need to have a recommendation to replace the secretary position that I'll be vacating. So I'll need a recommendation to, or a volunteer even, that would take the secretary position. Everybody's quiet. When would you be willing to take that position? Is that okay? I'm looking for volunteers at this point to take it, or I'll just keep going down the road with first motion. I'll make a motion that Pete take the position if he's willing. If so, do I have a second? Are you willing?
I will.
Okay. Would you roll call vote, please, Megan?
Jeff Harrison.
Aye.
Aye.
Ben Oaks. Alexa Powell.
Thank you. Now that we got all the housekeeping out of the way, we can get on to some requests here. We'll move on to letter B. We have a zoning amendment being requested. Owner Brett and Megan Garrett. Location 4151 North State Highway NN. The zoning request, they're asking to be rezoned from C2 General Commercial District to an R1C Single Family District. Do we have someone to represent them? Okay, if you would, well, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. This is a zoning amendment to rezone existing residential use property C2 to R1C single family. The comprehensive plan does note the property as commercial based on the existing zoning. Surrounding uses do vary from agriculture, multifamily, two-family, and office. The existing property is considered a legal non-conforming property because of the zoning and the current use of that property. The rezoning would bring the property into conformance if it is approved. The owner does wish to utilize the property as a residential use, as it is today. And at any time in the future, they do desire to change that use, they would have to go through the rezoning process as necessary. Based on the staff report, staff's findings, staff did recommend approval of the
Okay.
Mr. Goldberg is having a hard time hearing, so I'm not sure if everyone's speaking into the microphone.
I'm better now.
I don't
That was
think
just, that was early on. That was early on. I heard everything perfectly. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, now I'll get back online. Sorry. The representative of the units come forward.
I've never done one of these. So
And if you would give us your name and address,
Brett Garrett, 4151 North State Highway NN.
okay? Do you have anything to add that Cameron didn't mention?
That's pretty much what it is. We obtained a commercial loan to buy the property. We love the house. We kind of need to get it rezoned back to residential so we can actually afford to keep it because we kind of invested everything we had to get the commercial loan. We didn't exactly know how that process went until we got into it, and we burned everything we had to get it. So hoping for a little mercy to
Gotcha.
get it rezoned. We love Ozark. That's why we moved here. So
You can have a seat, and if we have any questions, we'll call you back.
thanks, sir.
Anyone else want to speak to this as far as the public? I will be opening the public forum. Looks like we have one. Go ahead.
Jeannie McFall, 1324 East Warren Avenue, Ozark, Missouri. I have an interest in some property over on 15th Street that will back up to this. I don't have anything against him rezoning it, but does it set a precedence to downgrade zoning when you have a comprehensive plan?
Would you like to speak to that, Cameron, or?
In this situation, staff feels it does not do the existing use being single family. And it's bringing it into compliance with the use now. Again, it is illegal non-conforming. The property was zoned to commercial years ago for an office use in the residence. In today's zoning, if that was the case, we'd do a home occupation versus a rezoning of a property. So yes, staff does feel like this is in compliance with the comprehensive plan and the intent of the use of the property.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to this rezoning amendment? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public portion and and open it up to the commissioners for any questions, comments, or if none, would welcome a motion.
Motion to proceed per office staff suggestions.
Okay, we have
I'll
Motion.
second it.
okay, we have a second. Megan, when you do a roll call vote, please.
Jeff Harrison,
Aye.
Alan Goldberg,
Aye.
Lynn Oaks.
Aye.
Alexa Powell,
Aye.
guys.
Thank you. And moving on to letter C, which is the preliminary plat for Northtown Park subdivision. Owner Fortress Land Development LLC and Todd and Tina Yerrick. Location is 5174 Road, parcel east of 5174 North Pheasant Road, and 41.8 acres south of Grand Haven subdivision. Cameron?
Yes. This is for the preliminary plat for Northtown Park. As the commission may recall, this was previously approved several months back. Since that time, the applicant has acquired some additional property and has included that property in the preliminary plat that is proposed in front of you this evening. The additional property does allow and abuts Pheasant Road to the west.
This revision would assist with alleviate some of the prior traffic concerns based on the traffic through the existing subdivisions. The preliminary plat does conform with the R1C zoning. There are no overlay districts that do affect this proposed preliminary plat. There is a future OTO trail link that is identified in this area, and the applicant has planned to dedicate the easement for that future trail. Staff did receive approval from the Ozark Special Road District in regards to the access to Pheasant Road. All staff comments and our third-party engineers' comments have been satisfied based on the review comments. Based on staff's review findings and staff report, staff does recommend approval of the preliminary plat.
Do we have anyone zoom in from staff, or did Jeremy come or no?
Mr. McCord, our Assistant Public Works Director, is available for any questions.
Okay. Do you want to make any comments, sir, or just wait for questions?
I'll just wait for questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone here representing? Okay, thank you. Come forward and give your name and address, please.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. My name is Dave Bodine. I'm with Pinnacle Design Consultants. I've been a professional engineer for 20 years and served in the engineering and design community for 25 years locally. I represent Fortress Land Development, LLC, along with the Urnex for the Northtown Park project. The project consists of 133 family lots, single family lots on approximately 49 acres. The property is currently zoned R1C, and all the lots have been laid out to meet the standards set forth for R1C zoning. The preliminary plat, as you see it, has been extensively reviewed by the city's planning department, the city's public works department, and the city's independent consultants to verify that all aspects of the proposed project meet the city standards. Please note that the city staff, based on these reviews, is recommending approval. When this project was brought to this board for annexation and zoning, excuse me, there was a number of neighbors who came out and spoke against the project, most of which were residents from the Pear Tree Manor estates and the homeowners downstream of the site. And as was typical in the last 25 years when I've been doing this, most of the concerns revolve around traffic and stormwater. Regarding their traffic concerns, we've obtained the services of Mr. Earl Newman to provide a traffic study for this development. Unfortunately, he's unable to be here tonight, and he's taking care of an ill wife. And Earl, if you're watching, we appreciate you. My prayers are with you. Mr. Newman's study, one thing I want to say, Mr. Newman, I think anyone in the know will agree, is the premier authority on traffic engineering in Southwest Missouri. He's been doing this for over 35 years, mostly with the city of Springfield. Mr. Newman's study was reviewed by the city's independent consultants, the Ozark Special Road District, and their independent consultants. And there were no comments of significance involving that report. The report summarizes that the street infrastructure in its current capacity has capacity to serve Northtown Park in its current conditions. Please note that Mr. Newman does make one recommendation that we're happy to abide by. We are adding, or will be adding in our construction documents, a designated right and left turn lane out of the subdivision onto Pheasant Road. And so that was one of the things that he recommended. It wasn't a requirement for the numbers, but we decided that was probably a good idea, and we're incorporating that into our design. Regarding stormwater concerns, the largest issue that we had to overcome wasn't our issue at all, but it was upstream drainage across our property and across Pear Tree Manor from Grand Haven subdivision. Grand Haven has a current, I hesitate to call it a detention basin, we'll call it a dry pond that was supposed to serve as a detention basin, but the outlet structure on that detention basin was never constructed. So water coming into it flows out at basically the same rate that it comes in. The city of Ozark has obtained my services to do a study and a design for a weir for that detention basin. And the study was completed using the procedures and standards outlined by the city of Ozark. The results of the study are as follows. For a typical 2-year storm, we can reduce the water flowing out of Grand Haven to 13% of its current level. For a 10-year storm, we can reduce it to about 36%. And for a 100-year storm, we can reduce the water coming out by 58%. Stormwater detention for Northtown Park, our project, will be provided on the 8-acre arm of the development, which is to the west. It has two separate connected basins, one on the north side of Cobblestone and one on the south side. And then from our detention basin, it flows into the existing creek bed, the low-lying area, and flows to the dry pond to the south. There is one area, lot 13, that is directly adjacent to Pheasant, and it will continue to drain to Pheasant. The rest of the site, the other 132 lots, will be captured by our detention basin and measurably discharged at a rate below what is the current runoff rate from the site is now. Both the Grand Haven detention study and the preliminary Northtown detention study have been reviewed by the city staff as well as their independent consultants with no comments of significance. And the city's public works director has applauded our efforts multiple times to assist in addressing an upstream drainage problem that is not ours. I'm sure that, well, I shouldn't say I'm sure. Previously, there were neighbors here to speak against our proposal, but I assure you that everything that we have done to date follows the rules and procedures set forth by the city. In addition, the remedies that we're proposing greatly improve downstream stormwater conditions. The staff and independent consultants and professionals that you hire and trust are recommending approval of this preliminary plat, and we hope that you will agree. With that being said, I'm more than happy to address any questions you have or dive into any of the numbers.
Any commission have any questions at this time? Hadley, any questions at this time?
None at this time.
Okay. If you'd like to have a seat, sir, we'll call you back if necessary. We don't have anyone else on staff to speak, if that's correct.
No one else on staff, and I don't see anyone on Zoom to address in the public hearing.
Okay, okay. I will then open up the public portion for anyone that wants to speak. And if you would, just a reminder to give your name and address so Macon can get it logged, and try as best you can, maybe keep within 5 minutes or so. So anyone, if you're welcome, anyone that wants to come speak. Seeing none, we'll close the public portion and I'll turn it over to the commissioners for any questions, comments that need to be made. And I'll forget your name on Zoom. I apologize with the staff. One of these days, I promise. Anyone have any questions or concerns for staff? Or, I'm sorry, what was your name again, sir? Mr. Bodine, I apologize. Anybody got anything?
I have a question.
There you go.
I remember last time it was a big concern with the amount of water collecting, and obviously it was addressed in the explanation. I guess my question is, there's supposed to be a detention basin at the other subdivision, but it was never completed. Is there anything set up now that by the city to inspect, make sure that they follow the design, the proposed design that was introduced today? Yeah, the city's current requirements now do require as-built of any public improvements. So once they're done with all the public improvement works out there, they are required to go back and survey, verify with as-built that the basins or utilities, water, sewer, whatever was built for the design and per the approved plans. Okay, that's all.
Anyone else? RJ, you got anything?
Sir.
Okay. Then with no more further questions or comments, I would look for a motion.
I make a motion to approve based on the recommendation of city staff and of the documentation and work that's been done by staff to address the issues that were out there before.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Roll call vote, Megan, would you please?
Joe Harrison,
Aye.
Patrick Wilbur,
Aye.
Cliff Oaks,
Aye.
Alexa Pavlov,
Aye.
Steve Rudenberg.
Aye.
Guys have it.
Thank Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Appreciate everyone's attendance. Moving forward to letter D. We're amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri by chapter 420, historic preservation in its entirety, and amending chapter 405 to add language regarding historic preservation districts, and amending chapters 400 and 405 to remove language regarding chapter 420.
Yes, based on the last meeting, the staff did present the draft ordinance to the commission. We did address the comments we received. We did receive comments at the meeting. Nothing as far as follow-up comments after that meeting was provided to staff. One of the concerns at the meeting was to address some discrepancies between the design guidelines and the ordinance. Primarily, that was the ordinance, as you guys are familiar with, in regards to signage based on the last historic item that was on the agenda. So staff has proposed and brought the ordinance back in front of you to address those concerns, adding some language in here regarding signage for any items that would fall within the historic overlay district. With that, be happy to answer any questions. And then just to keep in mind, if willing, the staff is looking for a recommendation from the commission on the ordinance.
Okay. Does this require a open to public even though it's?
Yes, it doesn't, it would need to be open for public, any comment as well.
Any public comment? We'll open up the public portion. Seeing none, we'll move and close and go straight to commissioner questions or a motion to approve. Any of those three would be fine.
I'll move to approve the motion.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Pete, second. Could we have a roll call vote, please, Megan?
Jeff Pearson,
Aye.
Howard Goldberg,
Aye.
Lynn Oaks,
Aye.
Alexa Pavlov,
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, that's pretty quick. Move to discussion, have nothing listed. Do we have any commissioner comments? Mr. Goldberg?
I apologize. I'm out of town with a family heading to Florida, but thank you so much for dealing with me on Zoom, guys. I'll look forward to meeting everyone in person next month.
I thank you for attending. Lexi?
No.
Pete? Lynn? Good. Cameron, you have anything?
I know you guys are aware of this, but staff did receive the 3 resignations from Mr. Branch, Mr. Dillon, and Ms. Hutchinson. So that's why they're not with us this evening. The mayor is working diligently to fill some of the vacant seats. So hopefully in the next meeting, we'll have some new faces in the crowd or on the commission. In addition, staff is continuing to work on some ordinances. We hope to have a draft back to you guys regarding the single family residential that has been discussed in the past, how to address the existing 4 single families and proposing that to be included as one, and then also addressing a secondary option for a more of a single family development that's based on units per acre, not necessarily a lot size. So hopefully at the next meeting, we'll have a draft of that ordinance for you guys. That's it.
Mr. Flores, anything? Okay. Well, I'll make a comment, and any support and everything is appreciated as I learn my process here. I'll be as diligent as I can. But your support means everything, so I appreciate y'all being here tonight. And all I would ask would be a motion for adjournment.
A motion.
When? Second, I will second. Do I have ayes? For about aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. I have to say that right there. I thought it.
Have a great evening, everyone.